Hey everybody, this is Miss Extrodin back with yet another video. Okay guys, so I just wanted to let you guys know that this is a movie that Rob and I did 8 months ago before we even started our own podcast, African Frame Podcast. We had already planned on doing something, but this is just something that my friend and Sam were doing on another podcast called Sam and Cam Podcast. You can check that out. I'll leave a link in the descriptions below. But yeah, this is a podcast called Entertainment on Set with me and Sam. So we just wanted to do a review of the social network. So I got Rob to join us. But I just wanted to also put it on this YouTube channel because I think that it was the beginning of a beautiful relationship and a beautiful set of films that we're going to be reviewing going forward. So just check us out. I mean, we did not have a formula yet. We were just basically winging it, relying on our memory to dissect the film. I think we did a good job, despite everything that I just said. And I think it's still good. So check it out. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and yeah, we will keep you updated on the latest film reviews that we're gonna be doing in the future. So yeah, do let us know your thoughts, and like I said, see you on the next one. Cheers.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Sam and Cam podcast. This is myself, Cam. I'm with my co-host Sam, and today we have a special guest, Rob Sibeko, a very, very knowledgeable individual who knows a lot about movies. And this is Entertainment on Set podcast on the Sam and Cam YouTube channel. Thanks for those who have been commenting and liking and subscribing. Yeah, please share this video to your friends and family members and whatever. Trust me, this is going to be a very, very interesting topic. Today, we're going to be talking about the film called The Social Network. The Social Network is a movie that came out, I believe, in 2009 or 2010. I stand to be corrected. Directed by David Fincher, written by Aaron Sorkin. It stars, I think it's Jesse Eisenberg as Mark Zuckerberg, and then it has Andrew Garfield as who's this guy? Eduardo Saverin. It has Justin Timberlake as Sean Parker. It has Brenda Song as Andrew Garfield's girlfriend. I forgot her name. It has Rashida Jones as, I believe, a co-counsel, or well, she was in the room. It has Amy Hammer playing twins, the Winklevoss twins. Am I forgetting anybody, Rob?
I'm not good with names. So far, you got everyone right so far.
Okay.
I can just be like, the guy.
Okay. So I don't know, Sam, do you wanna start, man? Is there anything that you want us to go through or talk about first before we get into anything else?
About the movie?
Yeah.
Well, I think let's let our guest, let's be good hosts and give our guest and treat him about.
Before you say anything, Rob, there's something that I just want to tell the audience. This movie is not actually 100% factual. It's based on a book called The Accidental Billionaires, right? And in The Accidental Billionaires, the author was writing the story from Eduardo Saverin's point of view, because he only consulted Eduardo Saverin. He didn't consult Mark Zuckerberg. So obviously, this was also written for dramatic effect, as with most biopics. So it's not 100% accurate. So some of the things that we see in the movie did not happen in real life. So I just wanted to say that. But please, yeah. What do you think, Rob?
Well, I want to add to that actually, because it's a fun fact that what happened was Mark Zuckerberg, he actually made a screening for all his Facebook people. and in like a bar nearby where the Facebook building is. And the martini they drink there, he bought that for everyone. They all drank it while watching the movie. Now Zuckerberg denies it, but there's been interviews that I've seen where Sorkin has stood by the authenticity of the movie. He says the only thing that is fake is the opening scene. That is his words. He says you can go to the transcripts of the actual depositions and you will see a lot of what they were saying was in there. So Sorkin himself is like, nah, I stand by this, what I did here. Whereas Zuckerberg's like, nah, dude, you're full of crap. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting battle.
I guess you would say that Zuckerberg would say something like that because the movie feels like it's attacking him, his character.
Yeah, it's
like.
Hmm?
Oh, sorry. Continue. Yes.
No. Okay. I was gonna say, according to Sorkin, it is a fall movie. It is not a happy ending. It's actually a sad movie. In the same way that Black Swan, you get negative. What is an official name for it? But basically negative hero tropes, where the hero makes the bad decision, basically. And the markers that he uses is every time you interact with that girl. That's where you know, okay, this is a marker where kind of like he's making the opposite decision that a more decent person would make. And then it gets sealed up by that final line where it's like, you know, you're not an ass, but you're trying to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so, yeah.
You want to say something, Sam?
I was saying that I actually agree there because in the entire movie, I remember when watching it, I didn't know much about Zuckerberg.
Right.
So I remember I didn't even know how he looked like at that time because I watched it in 2011, 2012, 2010, yeah. Right. So I didn't know how he looked like, but I was like, this guy, I mean, no, I don't. Yes, he came up with the cool, or not even came up with it, but I don't like him. It's like, you know, when you watch movies, you want the good guy, the bad guy. Right. He was the star of the movie. He's the steering in the movie, but he's the steering you don't like, you know. So it's like, yeah, this movie. So yeah, that movie, it can easily make you not like how Facebook or the idea of Facebook, but yeah.
Look, when it comes to Jesse Eisenberg as an actor, I mean, he's done other movies. He was in Now You See Me. He was in Batman v Superman as Lex Luthor. He was in quite a few movies, or a couple of movies. I think he was in a movie called The Whale, or something like that. I forgot. But what I'm trying to say is,
no, I was gonna say not The Whale. I think you're not thinking of the one with Kirsten Stewart, maybe. I forgot what that was called. The action one with Kirsten Stewart.
I'm not sure.
He's American. I forgot the name now, but he's in a lot of stuff. He's also in that other weird karate one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet. I haven't seen that one yet.
Weird, but yeah. Anyway, yeah.
The fact that we feel the way we do about Mark Zuckerberg can only be because of the way Jesse Eisenberg portrayed the character. He did a really good job. You do get the feeling that this guy is smart and he knows he's smart. He's a geek and he's fine with it. And he doesn't really mind losing people.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't mind losing a girlfriend or a friend if it means he needs to get to where he wants to be. So obviously the opening scene, we see Mark Zuckerberg with his girlfriend and he's basically not listening to what she's saying. And you know what? This is the last straw because she's just tired of the fact that this guy is always just proving how smart he is, even though he's doing it it's like it's a subconscious thing. It's not like he's doing it deliberately. I don't think he's doing it deliberately, but she was just tired of it and she's like, you know what, this is over. Cut to Mark going back to his apartment. He's pissed off. Now he wants revenge, right? But his best friend is there. And then we get introduced to his best friend, who's played by Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield is probably known as Spider-Man to some people. He played the second Spider-Man after Tobey Maguire. And he's writing some algorithm, I think, on a wall, right? On a glass.
Yeah.
It's a code, right?
Yeah, you could call it it's algorithm. Let's put it like that.
And this is, what was that actually? Was it for?
Okay, basically he needs to, because remember something, when you're doing coding, right? You're not writing if then else.
Right.
You're not just writing, I don't know if you guys have ever done programming before, but you're doing there's math involved. So it's not basic, oh, okay, this person is harder than this person, then a loop, then a loop, then a loop, because that'll take too long. So what a lot of coders like to do is make mathematical equations that limit the size of you guys know flow charts, for example,
Sure.
that like limit the size of a flow chart.
Right.
So what he was doing, you're trying to figure out, okay, if I put person X's name here, it'll go through XYZ in this certain direction.
Oh, it's like a probability index type of thing of sorts.
An efficiency type thing, yes.
Right.
That's
right.
the idea of what they were going for there.
So that sort of inspired Mark to do, I guess, a social site at Harvard, because they were at Harvard. This is based in Harvard. The location is in Harvard. And now he's thinking of people that he can match up while they're at a party or something, who can talk to who or who looks good in what and all of that. And I think he hacked into the Harvard school, what's this system, right?
No. Okay, I'm gonna a couple things. Number one, the Facebook thing, like Samuel said before, it was not his idea.
Right.
The Winklevoss twins saw what he did, and they thought, why don't we take his algorithm and stuff it into our idea?
Right.
Yeah. So technically, but anyway, what he did was he hacked all these sororities. That's what he hacked. He didn't hack the thing. He was using the servers of Harvard, and then what happened was he hacked. So he used so many people engaged that it almost became like a DDoS attack, and then it crashed the servers. That's what got everyone's attention. Right. Is that so good? It crashed the servers
in one night.
Yes, in one night. Late.
Right. Yeah. So obviously this caught the attention of the faculty members there, and they had to bring him in for questioning. That, hey, why did you do this? And obviously, I'm sure they had planned some disciplinary hearing. And he said, look, guys, if it took me 4 hours to hack into your system, then clearly that means your thing is not as strong as. No. I think it took them 4 hours to figure out who it was, right?
Yeah, find him, number one, and because they said they managed to find him in 4 hours, and he was like, first of all, if you just looked up the name, you'd have found me. He didn't hide anything. It was not a secret.
Right.
He was on it. And then that was his counter against the one teacher. And then he was like, okay, first of all, it's a computer thing that I did. It was so damn good, it nearly broke your servers. Why am I being punished? Because that's who the character. That's why I love this story so much. I love it so much because everything that happens is a character moment.
Right.
It's telling us who this man is all the time.
Right.
Like with the girlfriend you're talking about earlier, I'm sure we'll go back to it later to just discuss Sorkin, because as you know, I'm obsessed with Sorkin and I'm obsessed with David Fincher. These are my two favorite directors coming together. You can imagine how orgasmic that is. How amazing that is. But anyway, he I don't lose myself now. Okay. He in the beginning scene, he doesn't know that he did anything wrong with the girlfriend. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't know that he did anything wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why he reacts so violently. And then now with this faculty thing, he doesn't know that he did anything wrong. We know he did something wrong.
Yeah. We know he hacked.
Yeah.
He's like, I hacked, so what?
Yeah. And don't think he used real girls' faces to measure each other up like a music chart. He treated it like zoo, who's your favorite zoo animal type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not exactly good in and of itself, let alone the two things of him hacking all the sororities and shutting down the Harvard servers and then objectifying all those ladies.
So it was like Tinder before Tinder.
Yes, it was the ultimate Tinder. Yes, exactly. But no, yeah. And you can imagine how bad it must be for any woman at the bottom.
Yeah. You want to say something, Sam?
I want to ask a question. So, especially maybe this is something that the viewers also would like to know, because I know as a viewer, I would like to know this. we know that Facebook was not his idea per se, but he came up with, like we're saying, like how we're talking with the matching of the girls and all that, the framework of how to connect. So would you, as a normal external person, not in his world, would you have done the same? Would you have taken the idea? Because all those guys did was come up with an idea. Like, you know, we saw Andrew Garfield writing the algorithm, his friend and all that.
Right.
So he made Facebook work. If the twins were to make Facebook, would it have been what it is today? We don't know. So would you have taken that idea and ran with it like he did? Do you think he did a right thing or a bad thing?
Look, he is right in saying that it's not their code, it's his code. That's true. Because he came up with the code, just like how Andrew Garfield's character came up with the algorithm, right? But he wouldn't have come up with that code had he not had that idea from the twins. So for me, I feel like, you know, it's like, you know, when you're gonna go play, you want to play the lotto, but you don't have the money. Someone gives you the money to go play the lotto. When you win the lotto, you can't just come to me and say, but it's my numbers. Yeah, but it was my money. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I feel like that's more Eduardo's argument. What you're saying, I do hear what you're saying.
Right.
I like to keep it like this. Let's say we're all writers here, right?
Yes, Sam is a writer as well. Yeah.
Cool. So we all three of us are talking about we want to convert. We love dragons, but we want an African version of dragon because most cultures have some mythology of dragons at some point, right? So what would an African version of a dragon be? And we discuss it with each other, right? Then I'm like, okay, then we come up with a specific idea, right? And what we do is then I'm like, okay, here's what we'll do, guys. I'm going to, because how many of you guys actually written a full book before?
I haven't written a full book before, no.
Okay, cool. So then I'm the book writer, right? So I'm going to I'm going to form a book. I'm going to form the book, right? You guys know about it. You guys are the ones who thought it up. And then I'm like, anyway, hold on, guys. Don't do anything. Chill there for a month. And then next thing you know, you see my name on a thing there, my name alone. So,
there's some betrayal to that.
Because that's what he did. He said, don't worry, guys, I'm working on it. So, you know.
And he was ignoring their emails.
Yeah, and then he's alone there. Yeah.
Okay. For the viewer who has not seen the movie, I think we skipped just one important detail. The next day, the twins, the Winklevoss twins, who are also in Harvard, they approached Mark Zuckerberg because they were impressed with what he was able to do the night before. And they said, look, we want you to help us. We have an idea. We want friends to connect with each other, to be able to speak to each other and connect. And it was not just the two of them. They also had a partner. And so they came to him, they approached him, and then he said, oh, this is a cool idea. Let me see what we can do. Let me work on it. This is what Rob is saying now. This is what Sam is saying now. Now, the issue is, once I think Mark started seeing the potential of this thing, he stopped communicating with the twins.
Yes, literally.
And the twins didn't want to bother him because they thought, okay, he's still coming up with this idea. That's fine. And they kept on communicating with him, but he was not responding. So I just wanted whoever's watching this to understand where we're coming from, because I feel like we missed an important part of.
That's a good point. That was a good point to make.
Yeah.
Point as a writer, and I'm kind of going on a tangent a little bit, but as a writer, do you know what's interesting about that moment when he's like, let's do this?
Right.
Remember clearly the opening thing that they're talking about in the opening scene, right, is about him rowing crew, or rather him being a part of that exclusive club that you see the background of all those hot chicks climbing on the bus.
Yeah.
Oh, the Winklevoss twins are a part of that club, and he talks in the opening scene as how he's going to stand out. That's how he's going to stand out, right?
Right.
And then we cut to that other scene with the Winklevoss twins, where this man who never thinks he's doing anything wrong, remember, they already set that up twice. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't think he's wrong there. He doesn't think he's wrong in the other one. Is suddenly on the ground floor. They give him a sorry, my bad. Apologies. A bad looking sandwich.
Right.
Remember, they just chuck him a sandwich. He stays on the ground floor, and then when the meeting's over, they get to go upstairs. He stays downstairs. Now that's the right coming out.
Oh yeah, meaning they are not on his level.
Yes, and he resents that. So you can
also to add on to what you're saying, his best friend was also a member of a sorority, and he couldn't be part of that.
He's like that.
The Jewish sorority, right, or something like that. I can't remember.
Something like that, yeah. And I think he was even given a ring or something to be a member. And the only thing he was good at is programming, being in his room. But he doesn't belong anywhere. He doesn't belong with the rowing club. He doesn't belong to some sorority.
So, you just don't fit in.
You just don't fit in, bro. You just don't fit in.
So then
to do great things for us.
Exactly. So why must he include these people that he doesn't fit in with this $1 billion idea that just fell on his lap?
But you see, also, it's amazing how human beings, how complex human beings are. This is set in Harvard, meaning if you're in Harvard, it means you're smart. We have the idea that you are a smart individual. But neither the twins and his best friend did not see this guy's intentions all along, because his best friend says, dude, I see. Okay, by the way, the best friend doesn't know about the meeting between the twins and him. So when he goes to his best friend and says, dude, I want you to invest in this thing, the best friend thinks this is entirely this guy's idea. He doesn't know anything about the twins.
Absolutely.
So he's like, okay, I have the money. Let me invest in this thing. So, okay. Yeah, he takes out some money. They open a bank account. And he says, okay, look, what I will do for the business is I'll try to find investors. I'll try to find advertising and all of that while you work on the code. Am I leaving anything so far?
There's one thing I want to add on there. Now, you said it perfectly. But there's one note I want to add on what you said. You said everyone there is smart. What is the opening line of the movie? It is, how do you stand out when everyone gets 200 on their SATs, a perfect score on the SATs? And think about it. Everyone is smart.
Yeah.
And what you try to do
within the smart people, there's those who don't consider.
Exactly. And then he stands out amongst them. Writing works there. See how I see how he planted seeds in your head before what's going on there. That's some great writing.
Right. Look, there's something that I want to say also before we even get to the end. I know we're still far from the end, but in the end, you see Mark requesting to be a friend of his ex-girlfriend on Facebook. He's alone in the courtroom, in the court. Alone. And that also speaks to what we're talking about now. You are you have billions right now. You have everything, but you're still the same guy who didn't belong anywhere. And you still want to be a friend to someone.
But you still won in the end. Don't remember, he's a billionaire now.
You're a billionaire, yes, but
he won, but he lost.
But you still lost.
You fight, but you won. Yeah, you won.
Sad. Do you know what the story reminds me of? Of a guy. Let's think about this for a second. There's a guy. He's got a specific goal in mind. He sacrifices one thing. He sacrifices his friendships. He sacrifices the people around him and gets the end result. But at the end result is everyone around him is hurt and he's alone. Doesn't that kind of remind you of Thanos in Infinity War?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It is. Because in Endgame, when Endgame starts, you see that he's depressed. He's farming there, making breakfast in the morning. He won. He snapped. He got away with it.
Yeah.
But he's depressed. What now? It's like, what now?
Yeah. His ambitions were met.
Yeah.
But alone with it. He sacrificed everything. Yeah.
I think that's why Thor killed him so easily. He had nothing to fight for.
Yeah, because he'd already won. He had nothing to fight for. And that's the danger of ambition and purpose, I guess you could argue. But how cool is that, right? Those like parallels. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good analogy. That's a good analogy.
Anyway, yeah.
Not to deviate too much, but this is also making me think of the founder. I mean, it's almost as if sometimes you can see the potential of something more than
the original
creators themselves. You know? And depending on who tells the story, you are either the bad person or the good person.
Right.
Depending on who tells the story.
Right.
So, if you tell, I'm sure if Zuckerberg was to write his story of Facebook, we would actually maybe
you
see
the twins as villains. You'll see.
Right. We'd see them as knuckle dragging apes. That's what we'd see them as.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, so the twins were not portrayed by real twins. What David Fincher likes doing is, by the way, David Fincher also directed a movie called The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Just putting it out there. So anyway, there was an actor who has the same build as Amy Hammer. He's also a blonde-haired guy. And he was saying, no, we don't have to be identical. I can still play this role. But David Fincher, because David Fincher is a perfectionist, right? So he's like, no, these guys need to look alike. So what he did is he got the guy to wear, those dots that enable the editor. What are those dots called, by the way, Rob?
I don't know, just motion capture dots. That's all I can think of.
So the actor will have these dots throughout the scene. And then in post-production, what would happen is the editor, these VFX artists, would then take the face of the other actor and put it on top of the other actor. They did the same thing in Captain America, the First Avenger. When Captain America was thin,
yes,
they got an actor who was actually thin to act out, and then they put Chris Evans's face on top of that actor later on. So just saying it for the viewer. But anyway, yeah.
For hours about David Fincher's love of CGI.
Yeah.
Because the thing, David Fincher did The Girl in the Dragon Tattoo, right?
Oh, I didn't know the American version though, no?
Yes, the American version.
Because he used the same girl who played Mark Zuckerberg's girlfriend as the main character in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right.
Into a survey, it's a thingamajiggy. They found out that they use almost as many VXF shots for that as they did for the Godzilla movie. How crazy is that?
What?
Because you have to remember something about David Fincher. He does 100 takes.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever been on film? You know how long one take takes? Can you imagine what 100 looks like? Just to give you an idea, the final confrontation between Zuckerberg and Eduardo was when they smashed the laptop. There were at least 30 laptops.
Wow.
They had to smash at least 30. There was a picture of it, just rows upon rows of laptops. And what's his face? Garfield talks about it, about how exhausting he was, how exhausted he was. At one point, he was done so many that he was just like, okay, I have to mentally block my spirit to manage to get through this.
Yeah.
That is that man directing right there. That is how. If you want to know what a perfectionist is, there is.
But you see, that type of information makes me understand why actors get paid so much money. Because we think, okay, this guy just comes in, reads his lines, he cries, he does whatever, and then the movie's done, and then he gets 3 million for the movie. But you realize that no, apart from obviously having to promote the movie afterwards when it comes out and going to interviews and traveling across the world, going to China and all these places, is the amount of hours it takes maybe to do one scene or 3 scenes. Because we see the movie starting like this and ending like this, but you find out that the first day of shooting is the end of the movie.
Yes.
Or the first day of shooting is when Mark Zuckerberg is coding.
Yeah. Especially, I saw when I was shooting Martha, the film that we did.
Right.
Look, depending also on the weather, you know, if it was supposed to be an outdoor shoot, now you have to do that indoor shoot that script, which is maybe the next scene.
Right.
So you find out that the phone ringing, you shot it on day 1, and then the phone answering is on day 10. You know, so
yeah. And then because you didn't shoot it at 12 o'clock, you shot it at 2 o'clock. The sharp sunlight gone. So now it doesn't match properly. Now you got to try to work around it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, if you watch The Walking Dead season 1, there's a part where they're like on the road. If you pay attention to it carefully, you can see they had to use a filter to try to pretend that, it's getting a bit dark. Meanwhile, you can see their shadows because they obviously shot this at like 12 o'clock.
Oh.
See, they shot this at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and you can see when the shadows are sharp at their sharpest.
Yeah.
They got to like try and figure things like that out. Now, what Fincher does is he almost does a Jackie Chan type thing. Because Jackie Chan, what he'll do is he'll set space for 3 months of filming, where he'll do that thing where he flips like the fan 120 times. And then he'll set 3 days of filming so he can keep doing it continuously at the same time. David Fincher does the same thing. So that's why a lot of his action, that's why he has so much CGI, is because he realizes, okay, we can't have things land the same way. So what we'll do is we'll CGI it. So much because he'd rather do 100 takes and get it right. Whereas people who can't afford that, we can't afford that at all. We just take what we can take.
Yeah, because also, especially if you're, okay, I'm not a director like you two, but one thing I can imagine is when you have people who came to do your project, even though you don't have a budget, you still have to feed these people. These people have lives, they have plans, they have, so you cannot always have them available whenever you want, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you try your best to get a decent shot.
Yeah.
But with people like David Fincher, where the budget is like, I don't know, 100 million, he can afford to feed them for 3 days.
Yeah.
So he wants as many takes as he can, because you don't have plans, Baba. We're doing this movie.
Yeah.
I heard that Christopher Nolan, when he's doing his movies, no cell phones are allowed.
On set.
Because when he's shooting a scene, even if you're not in the scene, he wants everyone, including the crew, including extras, to be involved in that scene. Whether the camera is on you or not, this moment has to be captured so well that everybody in the room is paying attention to it.
Wow. And that demands quality now, because you have to do it right. Everybody's watching.
Right. And you see, the things that we're talking about now are very cheap, right? We're talking about people walking, we're talking about someone answering the phone. Imagine a situation where a wrecking ball has to go through a building.
Or that car has to explode.
Yeah, it has to be perfect.
Yeah, let's not even talk about the famous Joker explosion. The famous one.
Yeah.
The way he's clicking the button and it's not working.
It's not working. That was not in the script. Heath Ledger actually was wondering why this button is not working. Like, and that's why when it started exploding, you could see his real reaction, like,
But then he stayed in character.
Yes.
To the bus, and it's all one. You don't see the camera cut. It goes from him, turns like this to the bus, and it's beautiful.
And to also show that he's a good driver, by the time you see all 3 buses, you don't know which bus is in. But anyway, I feel like we're diverting back to the movie. So at this time, Mark starts realizing, okay, I really have something great. Talks to Eduardo. Eduardo was at a party. They invest in this thing. Then they go to this lecture. Bill Gates is actually doing a lecture there. And in that same room, we meet Andrew Garfield's future girlfriend there, played by Brenda Song. Brenda Song was in The Suit Life of Zack and Cody, or The Suit Life of On Deck. Where else was she in? She was in Station 19. Yeah,
She's movie which is hilariously bad. Some weird horror movie again. It's fun. But I forgot what it's called. But it's on Netflix. You guys should look for it if you ever see it.
Okay. But she's like a Disney. She used to be like a Disney child star.
Mm-hmm.
They meet there, and this is very important to the story because sometimes you never know who knows who, right? But anyway, to cut the long story short, they meet, they start dating, right? They start dating, and then she starts obviously hearing about this project. And because remember, Eduardo's job is to find investors. His job is to find advertisers, is to try and make this thing a business, a proper business, right? So he sees himself as the business end of this thing, this social network that doesn't have a name yet. I think they start calling it Facebook, if I'm not mistaken. By this time,
Facebook. They call it
the Facebook. Yeah, they start their Facebook. Yes. And then they get other people to help them with the code, develop it. I think it's their roommates or people or something like that.
Yeah, it starts with roommates, but then it's as a competition with the guy from Jurassic Park, the kid from Jurassic Park. Jeez, looking at him grown up is weird, eh?
Right. So
it's so weird. Yeah.
So anyway, what happens then is Brenda Song knows someone who knows Sean Parker, right? Now, who is Sean Parker? At the time that we're being introduced to this character, Sean Parker is played by Justin Timberlake. Sean Parker had a company called Napster. I think it was a streaming service or stream site.
OG. It was the OG peer-to-peer network. The first one to ever really exist.
Okay. What's a
download music?
What's a peer-to-peer network?
A BitTorrent. Okay, you know how when you watch Netflix, you're actually watching off the Netflix servers. Right? So what ends up happening is it turns all your computers into a server. So BitTorrent, for example, right?
Right.
So now when you install the app, right now there's a section of space on your hard drive that is now a server. So as long as it is on, people get to access your internet. Through that, access the data, pull the files out, or packets as they call it, and then that's how it bounces like that.
So that's what seeding is, right? When you're seeding.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So what he did was he invented something like that, but for music. So now download. Remember the OG days, eh? Where we all used to have CDs and what's it? CD writers. Used to rip songs. So what you rip the song, you then name it properly. You know what I mean? As opposed to lazy people where it's track 1, track 2, track 3, track 4.
Unknown artist.
Yes, unknown artist, unknown album. Yes, the OG stuff. So now you get all that stuff labeled properly. Then you chuck it onto the server, and that way one person doesn't have all the music, but everyone has some of the music. And because everyone has some of the music, we're talking about 1 million people. That's all the music.
And that was sort of illegal, right? I'm assuming.
Well, yeah, of course. That's how Napster ended. Is that all the music companies were like, you can't do this. We need to sell these songs. You can't just take them.
Right.
Yeah. They all sued him at the same time, and he filed for bankruptcy.
So yeah, we get introduced to this guy. He has a meeting with Mark, Eduardo, and the girlfriend. I don't know what happened to Sam. I hope he'll come back and join us. But anyway, as I was saying, he meets these guys, and I mean to everybody, it's Sean Parker. He's the famous Sean Parker. So people are looking forward to having this discussion with him, to seeing him, because look, it's going to be a remarkable conversation, especially knowing that they have this idea, this $1 billion idea, and they're presenting it to someone who has experience in coding and in making something revolutionary, right? But as the meeting kept going, Eduardo is starting to see red flags about Sean Parker. Right?
Which is interesting, because now here's the thing about this whole situation that I find absolutely fascinating is, you have to remember how we open on Sean Parker.
Right.
Basically slumming on some girl's bed who doesn't even know his name, Do you know what I
mean? Right.
That's a very clever introducing. Yeah.
Fun fact, the girl, he's talking that we see in this movie. Okay, I just wanted to see if Sam is coming through, but I think he's coming. The girl that he was sleeping with is Dakota. Okay, we didn't really touch much, Sam, but we're just explaining the scene where they meet for the first time. All of them meet for the first time. Justin Timberlake is meeting the two guys. But we're just saying that the first time we start seeing Justin Timberlake on screen, he was in bed with a girl, and this girl is the same actress who was in 50 Shades of Grey, Dakota Johnson. Even though her role was very small in there.
Yeah. But the narrative value was high because it tells you a lot about Sean Parker. He's a talker. He can talk his way into anything. Before we even get, and then afterwards you get the introduction by Eduardo, where and this is very good writing, because now in writing, right, what you want to do is just tell everyone what everyone is feeling, but you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't just tell people how they're feeling.
You show it.
Exactly. So now what they do to cheat, because you can't really show it. So what they do is they have Eduardo saying it in the deposition. Do you know what I mean? Then they show it in the thing, so you know what you're looking for.
Right.
It's very, very clever writing.
Right.
You see it within his sweet talks the girl into bed, number one. Well, like you see that he's in bed with a girl, so you know he's smooth. And then you see him sweet talking them, but there's an overhead voice telling you from Eduardo, of course, the tags in advance.
How arrogant Sean Parker is and all of that. But also, you also see Mark Zuckerberg's reaction to the story that Eduardo is saying in the courtroom, because Mark doesn't really believe everything that Sean is saying. I mean, that Eduardo is saying. Mark is like, you are jealous of Sean Parker.
Yes, because think is won over. Yeah.
Because, think about it. Let's say you have your girlfriend somewhere and your girlfriend is fascinated by another guy. Obviously, it's going to rub you off the wrong way, Joe. Right? So that's how it seemed. It seemed like Eduardo was jealous of Sean getting the attention of his girlfriend. But even if that might have been true, Eduardo saw some red flags from this guy.
Absolutely. But I do think there's insecurities and intuition, which is why it's so clever about this, because remember, when I think this is in the scene, thingamajig is like, okay, we need to start talking about, yes, remember, Sean disagrees with Eduardo on multiple occasions.
Right.
And things like
cuts him off. He even cuts him off, yeah.
So it impacts thingamajig's pride, which is a very important narrative point of Eduardo's character, is this man is being phased out almost from the beginning.
Right.
Like, he thinks too small, and Sean Parker tells him directly, you're thinking too small. You need to start thinking in the billions. And then he cuts to the depositions like, and that got everyone's attention.
and also Mark is impressed by how Sean is speaking, because that's exactly how he's thinking.
Yes. And that bond, that immediate bond, must be messing with Eduardo. It's
the best friend.
Yes. But he doesn't have it.
You're taking my girlfriend. You're taking my best friend. And you want to be part of this business, and chances are you might take my position.
Yes, because you have the vision and I don't.
Exactly. Exactly. So anyway, the meeting ends, and Sean Parker's like, okay, there's just one suggestion I have for you guys. Take out the Facebook and let it just be Facebook.
You know, for me, one of the
Hello?
Hello? Hello? Hello?
You were saying something?
Yes.
What were you saying?
Oh yeah, I was saying that one of the is when how they changed it from the Facebook to just Facebook. Zuckerberg was so stunned. It's like he had a crush on Justin Timberlake at that moment. You know,
exactly, bro. And that's just a small thing, but it changed everything because you know, Sean Parker came with experience.
Yes.
So we get cut to a scene where Mark and Sean are now at a club, and they just start talking. You know, Sean is telling him about how Victoria Secret started and all of that. And look, he's basically just painting a picture to Mark that, dude, this is a big thing. And also bear in mind, Sean also doesn't know that Mark has had a conversation with the twins. Nobody knows except Mark. Right? So now, with the funds of Eduardo, the experience of Sean, they actually start publicizing this idea called Facebook online. And this catches the attention of the twins, and the twins are like, yeah, this is our idea. So the twins now, they want to get help from the school because, first of all, they had this idea at the school. They confronted Mark at the school. So they want the school to help them, maybe take legal action or something. But I think the school was not too concerned about it because to them,
they don't see the vision, number one. And remember, Harvard produces presidents. Why are they going to care about a small social network business?
Yeah.
You know what? Why do they care? Yeah.
It produces presidents, the best lawyers,
judges.
Judges and stuff. So you're coming us with an idea that doesn't even generate money. No, man.
Yeah.
You know? So now the Winklevoss twins now are trying to get legal action against Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, actually, no, there's a specific event that happens.
Okay.
I can't remember if, our order is kind of up and down right now because remember, technically, Facebook was already out by the time Sean Parker had already been thingamajiggied. And
yes. That Facebook was already out, yes.
But anyway, then there's an event where they do the crew, they're racing, because at first it's not that big a deal for the Winklevosses. You know what I mean? Like they're not that upset yet.
Yeah.
Until I think it happens after the girl, the meetup with the girl. Are we going to talk about that first? Or?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Yeah. Then before all that happens, before the Winklevosses finally take action, Zuckerberg bumps into the old fling and tries to reconcile. Because remember, even though Eduardo ended up with Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, his chick was a one-night stand and then bounced. So he's been alone this whole time. Right. So seeing fling tries to rekindle something and gets absolutely annihilated.
Yeah.
They crush him like worse than they did in the opening scene.
Right.
That's when he spreads it to everyone. You know what I mean? All the major schools, Cambridge, the British schools. And yes, that's when the British school, because remember they're rowing the thing against the royalty, I think. And at the British school, when they realize it's gone international, that the Winklevosses are like, nah, let's cook this.
Yeah.
It's bad word here. But
yeah. Meanwhile, Eduardo and Mark have been going to different businesses to try and sell this idea. And it was a bad idea to actually bring Mark along because Mark is not even paying attention. He's not even being professional. He's busy making sounds.
And you saw that, you know who the guy was? The guy they were talking to.
Yeah. Can I say it? Or do you want to say it?
No, you say it. I need you to say it.
In that specific scene where he's the guy who's asking Andrew Garfield, why is your friend doing this sound? Is the guy who wrote the movie, and that is Aaron Sorkin.
The legend. Gosh.
So Aaron acted in his own movie.
Yep.
And fun fact, Aaron was actually approached to direct the movie, but he said that he doesn't want to direct it. He was fine with writing it, but he preferred someone else to direct it. That's when they got David Fincher. Yeah.
Perfect vocal artist versus the perfect visual artist.
Right. Anyway, so a letter, Mark gets a letter.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could say it's a subpoena.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Or rather, there's a word before subpoena, because subpoena suggests that you already went to a judge.
Right.
It's for not a claim letter, a cease and desist. I forgot what the word is.
Something like that, yeah. So
you send a warning, yes.
Yes, you have a warning that, hey, man, there's legal action against you. Please note that, this is happening. So Eduardo now gets the letter, and this is when he starts knowing that, hey, man, what did you just say? These guys want to sue us? This thing is not our idea? What do you mean? It's not our idea. What's happening here? So that's when Mark is saying, but no, this is my code. It's like, it doesn't matter if it's your code. You had this discussion with these guys and you didn't tell me. So that's when the disconnect, I feel like that's when their relationship starts to crumble a bit.
I would argue, yes, I agree. But I would argue, I think that's when Eduardo sees that the relationship is starting to crumble. Like, he tries, he's like, no, man, you got to come to me with all this stuff. He's like trying to plead a little bit, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I argue that if you look at Zuckerberg individually through the scenes leading up to there, you can see this man can tell that Eduardo isn't seeing the vision. You know? And when Thingamajig goes to California, that's when you realize, okay, Sean Parker's claws have sunk in, because it was Parker's idea to go to California.
Right.
Whereas Eduardo was like, I'm going to go to New York because that's where the money is.
Right.
And it's not the vision. You're missing the vision, buddy. And yeah. Samuel L. Jackson, he's gone.
Yeah, I think he has some network issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure he'll watch the video later on, but I'm sure he'll come back. So they do go to California, but in as much as Sean told him to come to California, he didn't really think Mark would go to California.
True.
Until there's a crazy party happening. Obviously, at this time, Mark has moved the team along with him. And so Sean is trying to figure out who are these guys. When he gets there, he's like, oh, Mark, you're here? So Mark is like, yeah, Eduardo, I'm here, and this is what's happening. So he's showing him the progress of what's been happening since the last time they spoke. There's great coding. He's just like, yo, dude, this is great. And this forms an even more solid relationship between the two, because now Sean is getting more involved in this thing. And Eduardo now catches wind of it, and he becomes so upset that he freezes the account, the Facebook account. He goes to the bank and he says, I want to freeze this account. And what that does is it causes Facebook to crash for like a day or so.
Because they shut the servers down, yeah. And the phone call and the fire and all that stuff, yeah. So, and that is a vital point right there, yeah.
So I think that this is what makes this part very important is his relationship with his girlfriend is rocky as well. His relationship with his best friend is rocky as well. So Mark calls him and says, Facebook cannot crash ever. It's not allowed to crash ever. Right?
Yes.
And then it's like, yeah, but Mark, you're doing things without telling me now. You're with Sean Parker and I don't know about this. So basically, Eduardo is just being kept out of the loop, and it's becoming more and more apparent that, look, dude, basically it seems like you're being sidelined here. And that's why he did that.
Yeah. The most important line in that whole scene has got to be here. I'm such a fan, but I forgot the exact line. But it's like, be here or get left behind. You know, he says that, and that's when, that's when like, if it was a song, that's when the beat would drop. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because that's the most important line. And I think I was wrong before. I think this is the moment where it actually sinks in that Eduardo's in trouble.
And then, in the meantime, his girlfriend is upset that he didn't change his relationship status on Facebook, of which he didn't even know it was a thing. And that also tells you a lot about how invested or not invested Eduardo was in this whole thing.
About the vision, yes.
Because how can you be a co-founder of this thing, but you don't know that this thing exists?
Yeah, and she calls him out on that, doesn't she? She calls him out on that, right?
Yeah.
She says, yeah, absolutely. And at that point, even he must realize what's going on. Like,
yeah,
it was beautiful.
Anyway,
a lot of same time, yeah. Anyway, I'm moving.
Anyway, the relationship with Mark is crumbling, but at the same time, the relationship with Sean is becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. Now, I guess the thing is, this movie is non-linear. By that I mean, it's not straightforward. It's different things happening at the same time. Basically, the present. If we're talking about the present in this movie, the present is these characters being in a deposition.
Yes, that's present day, yes.
And everybody is telling a story, whether it's the twins, whether it's Mark, whether it's Eduardo.
Yes.
Someone is telling a story. Sean is not there. We don't see Sean. Sean is only mentioned either by the lawyers,
yes,
Mark, or Eduardo. So the twins in this entire movie have never met Sean.
Yeah.
And Sean has never met the twins.
Yeah. You barely see their scenes at this point, if I'm correct. I think you see a lot less of the depositions of the twins at this point. Right. I think, even that amazing line of that, you guys mentioned it before, is like, do you see any of the code on my Facebook? If you guys didn't create a Facebook, you'd have created Facebook.
Right. So I just want us to talk a bit about these deposition scenes. There's one of the best scenes, in my opinion, is when they're asking the Winklevoss's lawyer, I think it's their uncle or something, is asking Mark, is like, do I have your attention, Mark? And Mark is like, what? Do I have your attention? He says,
I think he says I'm not allowed to lie on things. I think I can't remember. But then, and then he's like, no, you have the minimum amount.
And it's like, do I deserve it? And then he says, what does he say? I can't say it line for line, but he's basically saying, you guys are wasting my time, because right now there are a lot of people at Facebook that are doing things that none of you in this room are even capable of imagining. And then he says, not even your clients are even able to imagine this. Now, does this answer your very condescending question? So, no, you do not have my attention.
Which is funny, because Lil Wayne proved that you don't while out in a deposition. Because when someone tried to sue Lil Wayne, I can't remember, then he started whiling out the deposition and he ended up losing the case. And he ended up being in trouble.
Because you're proving their point.
Yes. That's why the lawyer winks at them at the Winklevoss's.
Yeah. Like, there's something here.
Yeah.
There's something here. And it's probably maybe what helped them get settlement at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think I'm getting a bit lost now. Onto what's happening after this.
The depositions, the non-linear, and I was actually this is actually a good point about the non-linear. It's what I was talking about before about how it's a tool that Sorkin is using,
right?
Where you kind of cheat the system, because again, I can't tell you what to feel in a thing, but I can set it up. For example, have you ever heard of Brandon Sanderson? He's an author.
Wes Anderson.
Brandon Sanderson. He's a book writer.
No.
Fantastic fantasy series of books. You should definitely read them. It's called the Stormlight Archives, right?
Okay.
And in this magic system of theirs, right? They're like fairy creatures. And now what happens, all these different types of fairy creatures, whenever you express a kind of emotion, they fly around you. So now that's instead of saying the character's angry, so you're like, red fairies flew around him.
Right.
Or, you know what I mean?
Right.
So what Sorkin is doing the same thing, where he's kind of cheating. So when he wants to explain something, what he does, he cuts a deposition. And then they'll say, oh no, thingamajiggy was like this.
Right.
Then you back. But it's still narratively important because some of the best lines come from there. One of the final lines of the entire thing, not the one, but where Eduardo's best lines in the whole movie come out, is in the deposition. We had one friend, and it accumulates so beautifully all the things that have happened between the relationship, ending on that one line. But yeah, that's how I feel about the depositions. That's its value in my eyes, as intrinsic value.
And you see, none of them lied.
Oh yeah,
Mark never lied.
mm-hmm.
The Winklevoss twins didn't lie.
Mm-hmm.
Eduardo didn't lie.
Mm.
But some of the way they were delivering those lines, in some cases, it seemed like one of them was lying. But they weren't.
Yeah, it's when you put it like that, that's actually very clever. You know Rashomon, right?
Who?
Rashomon. It's a famous Japanese movie by Kurosawa. Did you ever watch The Jewel with what's his name? Mark Wahlberg and Ben Affleck and Adam Driver? Okay.
Yo, that's a stellar cast, by the way.
I know, right? Yeah. But anyway, basically the idea is, in the Rashomon, it's one of the most famous movies of all time. But basically the idea is someone gets killed, a samurai gets killed, and then you get 3 different perspectives. And you don't, at the end of the movie, you don't know whose perspective is the right one. You know what I mean? It's beautiful. It was the first time a movie's ever done that. It was amazing. So now that's kind of what's happening here.
So wait, sorry. So, okay, just to give people a bit of background, whoever's watching this, Kurosawa is Akira Kurosawa,
yes,
who was a Japanese filmmaker and is considered to be one of the best directors of all time. He has inspired the likes of Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. Steven Spielberg, who has directed films such as Jurassic Park, Saving Private Ryan, E.T., Jaws, Indiana Jones, Artificial Intelligence. And then you have The Terminal. Then you have George Lucas, who has directed, who has written or came up with the idea of Indiana Jones. Directed the first Star Wars, which is A New Hope. Also directed the prequels, Phantom Menace. I think he also directed Return of the Jedi.
No, that's someone else.
Okay, because I know not.
Might be right.
Because he didn't direct.
Empire Strikes Back. That was someone else. Yes.
Yeah, that was someone else. But I think Return of the Jedi must have been him. I could be wrong.
Searching out. I could be wrong as well. I'm not sure.
But then he directed Revenge of the Sith, Phantom Menace. Yeah.
Red Tails, the first black flight thingamajig in World War II. He did that as well. That was his baby.
What's that?
The Red Tails.
Okay.
Starring the black guy from Great Debaters. Basically, like the first ever all black air thingamajig in World War II.
The Tuskegee, is it the Tuskegee?
Tuskegee Airmen, yeah, I think it was them. Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Anyway, I was just giving people some background on who you were talking about. Yes. But what I was getting to is movies like what's this movie again? That was directed by the guy who Bryan Singer. What's this movie? Kaiser Soze. Usual Suspects.
Usual Suspects, yes.
When you watch, welcome back, bro.
Welcome. I missed you, buddy.
When you watch Usual Suspects, by the end of the movie, you're not even sure. That entire story sounds fake, but at the same time, there were real events, because why? How else would he end up in questioning?
Yeah, he tied the thing to the truth. And I think if you tie the things that he looks at, you can kind of see which parts of it. It's a movie you have to watch like 3 times to fully understand what parts were lies and what parts were the truth. Definitely.
Even with The Social Network, you can't watch it just once. And the reason for that is you're watching the deposition, and at the same time, you're tying the stories that they're telling to the events that are happening in the movie.
Yeah.
So you cannot just watch that movie once and understand it completely. You have to watch it at least twice. Because the first time you're watching it, trying to understand what's happening. The second time when you're watching it, you're like, oh, so this is why this is why.
It's like, listen to an Eminem song. You can't listen to it once. You have to hear that song like 5 times to catch all the lines.
Which song is this?
An Eminem song. You have to listen to 5 times. You can't catch all that in one go. It's impossible.
Right.
Tino talks about this. He talks about, because him and there are 3 guys. They all have like the same name. You mentioned one of them before just now. Okay. There's a guy who did Mortal Kombat. What's his name again? The Resident Evil movie. We all know him as the guy who does not Uwe Boll.
Del Toro.
Peterson. You know, man. No, man. Mortal Kombat, the OG Mortal Kombat. Dun, 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 dun.
I don't know who directed that.
Mila Djokovic's husband. Not Peter Jackson. Oh, I'm so embarrassed right now. This is a name. Anyway,
you have noticed, Rob. Whenever the camera, and Sam can attest to this. Whenever the camera is on, the names disappear, bro. Once we stop recording, then the names come back on.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, this guy, he's Tarantino's best friend. He made There Will Be Blood.
Oh, Robert Rodriguez.
No. There Will Be Blood. Yes, no, not Dusk Till Dawn. There Will Be Blood. The one with the oil. The oil. Starring Daniel Day-Lewis.
I don't know. I thought because
Milkshake.
Yeah. Then.
Yes.
No, I don't know the director talking about. But when you say Quentin Tarantino's best friend, I thought you were talking about Robert Rodriguez.
Different friend. This is more like a colleague. Let's just put it like this. They consider themselves like Boogie Nights. Let me put it like this. As soon as I figure out the name, you're gonna be like, oh, I love all of his movies. Let's put it like that. Anyway, he's a film genius. He shares the name with the guy that makes Budapest Hotel, the Grand Budapest Hotel, and
Wes Anderson.
Yes, Anderson, Paul Anderson. That's it. Because you get Wes Anderson, you get Paul Anderson, you get W.S. Anderson. W.S. Anderson is Mila Jokovic's wife. Wes Anderson is of course the Fantastic Fox guy, and Paul Anderson is There Will Be Blood.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so weird. That's how I remember things. But anyway, point is, they were like, because Tarantino was talking to me, and he was like, I noticed how few set pieces are in your thing, right? And he was like, you think there are no set pieces in my thing? Oh, okay. And then Tarantino watched the movie 2 more times, like, oh, I'm an idiot. Because there's actually a lot of set pieces, just really big ones.
Right.
My point is that you have to watch a movie more than once and you appreciate it more. Like for example, of course, being Social Network. I've watched that movie like 10 times. Yeah. So that's able to do some of these quotes because, again, legendary movie.
Right. I've watched it so many times that I even lost count. I think at a point I was watching it every month. That's just
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because it's filled with so many things.
Yeah.
But anyway, at this point in the movie, Facebook is big and they are recruiting people now. They're even recruiting more people. And how they're recruiting people is they're having like this, you could say it's a challenge, like a game challenge, like a marathon of sorts, where...
yeah, that was technically an early scene, but I know what you're talking about, yes.
Yes, I think that's when, Sean Parker had come to the house, where they were competing. I think they were competing, but they were coding fast to see who can, and drink and, yeah.
Scene. And that's how I get introduced to the Jurassic Park guy, who I love.
Sure.
Apologies. Who I love. Yeah. Sorry.
So basically what's happening in this movie now is I don't know. I feel like I'm losing something important in this movie.
The competition scene you're talking about is technically slightly before Sean Parker, after the girlfriend, right?
Yes.
And what's happening now is it's Sean Parker and Zuckerberg going up to major billion-dollar investor. What do they call it? What's the word? Something investors? Not
Angel, and not angel investors, right?
Something capitalists. It's like a word. Venture capital.
Venture capitalists. Yes, yes.
Anyway, they go up there and they start pranking them.
Right.
And it leads to a multi-million-dollar deal. While Eduardo is still looking for thousands, these people have managed to get millions land on their faces.
Right.
And that's when things get big. Yeah. That's when they start making that big office. And now we're nearing the end of the storyline. Yeah.
That's when Mark Zuckerberg gets a business card that says I'm CEO.
Yeah, yes.
Right, right. So now Eduardo is finally kept in the loop that okay, this is the offices. He was not around all this time. But then he finally comes to California, he sees the building. Everything looks great. And then he's called in by the business guys. Like, except he goes there, he's greeting the guys, like say, hey, yo, he's so happy.
Yeah. Like, guys, we.
Then he gets inside there and his face changes because now he's seeing that he's out of the business. I don't know how to explain the terminology of I'm not a businessman like you guys.
And what's funny is you notice again, brilliant writing. They don't actually show the scene itself. They cut to the deposition where they explain what's happening.
Right.
And see his face change. And while it's explaining in a different way. And that is
because this lawyer is reading the shares that everybody has in the business. They start with Mark, they go to Sean, they go to the other guys that were helping develop this thing, and then they say, and Eduardo 0.00 something.
Yeah.
So now Andrew Garfield's character is fuming. He opens doors. Mark goes there.
Yep.
And while he's speaking, and you see, this is the brilliance of the movie. Sean is so interested in this drama. Eduardo does not care about Sean at all.
And what's so beautiful about it is that Eduardo ends up being right about Sean in that moment.
Yeah.
He dismisses him because it turns out that Sean is a small person.
Right.
I mean, he was a small person who just had a nice vision that managed to seduce. He seduced him. Yeah. He was a seducer.
Right.
He was. And then he just kind of dismisses him so beautifully. And then...
I want to say, which is very crucial, is Mark doesn't care about Eduardo. Eduardo does not care about Sean. I'll explain. Mark he had his headphones on. So when this guy is busy screaming, Sean says he's wired in. So throughout the movie, they use this term wired in. Wired in means this person is so concentrated on whatever they're doing that they cannot even hear what anyone is saying or doing. So Eduardo's like, oh, okay, he's wired in. He takes the laptop, bangs it on the thing. Mark is startled. He's like, what's happening here? He's like, you sold my shares? And Mark does, to show that he doesn't even care, he's like, but yo, you were not around, bro.
And he still disses him. He's like, so the business guy got messed up in business. Is that your excuse?
Yeah. So now Eduardo is connecting the dots. He's like, is it because I went to, was accepted here and you are not? Because at the end of, you see the difference between business and pleasure. Mark is talking as a businessman from a business perspective. Eduardo is talking about the friend. It's about to him. It's about loyalty. It's about friendship. Is it because I did this thing, Joe? Is it because I froze the account?
Mm-hmm.
Mark is like, yo, no, you just didn't. You were just not here, bro.
Yeah. You weren't here for the vision. Absolutely.
And because he's angry, as they keep speaking, Sean Parker now keeps butting in. Wait, what is the chicken? What is the situation about the chicken? You know. So let's explain a bit. Sam, please, you can chip in if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Eduardo had a chicken, and he fed a piece of chicken.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the running joke throughout the movie. But anyway, and I think that also speaks to Eduardo's ignorance or his ignorance, because even though the chicken is a small scene, but it shows you his character overall. That's why the reason I mentioned that these people are smart, they're in Harvard. They're all smart, but are misinformed about certain things. Mark is not a socialite, so he's awkward. Eduardo pays little attention to the most important details.
Yeah.
Sean Parker is loose.
In a serious moment, he's just
even though he was not in Harvard, he was not a Harvard student, but he's very loose. He's a risk to any business.
Just about.
In general, because after that scene, Eduardo says, you know what? You pretentious douchebag wearing slippers. I'm sorry. Because he said there was a part where he was so angry. He's like, I'm sorry that I'm not here wearing a t-shirt and a hoodie and flip-flops.
But Sean Parker says, you think you just come in here wearing your little Gucci suits or whatever, and then he's like, I'm sorry, I'm not wearing and so flip-flops. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think Sean says something, and then it frustrates Eduardo, and he's about to punch him, and then Sean is like, and then you see Eduardo smiling because it's like, I finally got you.
Well, yeah, he dismisses him perfectly. He says, yeah, next to you, I feel big.
Yeah.
Then, beautiful. Yeah.
And then he looks at Mark and says, next time you see me coming in here, I'm coming for everything. So you better lawyer up.
But I would argue the most important line was that one line we discussed before. Just before that one, it's the deposition scene where he says you had one friend.
Ish.
One friend.
Ish.
And then that part, that's when you realize, okay, that's where it ends. And actually he finishes him with that other line. You know what I mean? That second of I'm coming for everything. So like that one, you had one friend, and now that friend is gone, that friend is coming for everything. But
also to prove Eduardo's point, that same night, Sean has a party with underage girls with drugs. The cops come in because of the noise, search the people, find out that they have drugs. Now Sean, I think he was arrested.
Yeah. They're all millionaires, so I'm sure arrested is a strong term.
Yeah.
Detained, probably.
Detained from the party. He was let go from the premises. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
So Mark gets this call. And for me, whenever I see that movie, it's at that moment where Mark gets the call that Sean is in jail. Not prison, jail.
Yeah.
That you realize that Eduardo was right all along, bro. Because you could tell how disappointed Mark was. Like, dude, we're running a business. You are gonna go party with the staff and smoke drugs and like, dude, come on.
Yeah, it's a liability in the end, yeah.
You know? So it's like that part where you said you had one friend. You see it in that scene where your friend wouldn't have jeopardized the business like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, to cut the long story short, we cut back to the deposition scene where it's at the end of the day. It's the end of the day, and Rashida Jones now is speaking to Mark and saying, I think she said something about the Winklevoss, and then Mark says the Winklevi are only upset because for the first time in their life, they didn't get what they wanted.
Yeah, Daddy couldn't help them. Yeah.
Yeah, Daddy couldn't help them.
Yeah, and they basically laid out that, look, man, we're about to go have lunch, right? To which we're gonna discuss not them but you, and we're gonna basically tell you that we're gonna settle. Do you know what I mean? We're not gonna take this to court. Yeah. So basically, the plan is to shut you down, not them. So they'll get their little money, and they'll be happy with the money that will mean nothing to you a year from now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
And basically, she was not supposed to tell him that, but she did because, well, it's not on record.
Yeah.
And it's gonna happen anyway.
It's gonna happen anyway. He's just laying it down, and because I'm sure she can tell, because that's her job to tell what people are like. Yeah. And then, funny enough, the chicken story comes to a conclusion because she's like, "Here's how I'm gonna prove. Here's how you're gonna prove that you're a bad guy." How do we know that it wasn't the Winklevosses that set up the news story about the chicken? How do we know it wasn't you? And boom, it's like, oh no, how do we know that it wasn't him?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, and then that's how the chicken story ends.
and it could have been him, though.
It could have been him.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's really clever. And then they bring the girlfriend story to an end as well. But yeah, carry on. Yeah.
And what I like about that movie is because, I mean, think about it, guys. This was 2010 when this movie came out. Facebook was big, but it was not as big as it is today, right?
Yeah.
And also, these characters are still alive. This is not like a story that happened in 1960. So to show how realistic or how real this story is, the movie ends because it's supposed to, not because it should. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Like, the movie is ending because this is still the present. Facebook still exists. These people are still alive. The only thing that helps us to finish this movie is that yeah, the thing that makes us finish this movie is that these matters were settled in court. I mean, they were settled eventually.
The writing, literally. But I think what ends the story properly is that the emotional beats were settled.
Right.
It makes more sense. That's what ends. The actual story, of course, doesn't end. Like you're saying, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But narrative beats, also I agree, is that's what ends.
Right. So what ends is it says that Eduardo got an undisclosed amount of money, which was a lot. Sorry?
He got his name on the Facebook creators thing. At the bottom of Facebook, his name is back on.
Yeah, as a co-founder.
Yes.
And then the Winklevoss twins also got a nice amount of money from that. And then, am I leaving anything?
No, that's pretty much. Oh, Sean Parker got no, never mind. Yeah.
What did he get?
He also got money, but he got money from like the beginning, so it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah. And then we see him inviting his ex-girlfriend, or a friend request, giving her a friend request and refreshing after like every minute just to see if she has responded to that thing. Which goes back to what? You had one friend. You had only one friend, and you don't have that friend anymore. And I guess it also speaks to what money is able to do in friendships. It can destroy friendships, that thing.
True. Ambition. Well, the love of money.
The love of money, yeah.
Yeah.
So out of 10, Sam, what do you give this movie and why?
But just
sorry, I can't hear you. Please repeat that.
One more time.
I think there's a delay.
I also think it's a delay, yeah.
Can you hear us?
But is it nice amount of money though?
I heard the word money.
What? Yeah, there's definitely a delay.
So there's a huge problem. That was a close one.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Go for it.
Yes, I can hear.
Yeah. Say what you were saying.
Yeah, I would give it an 8. You know, I feel.
Why would you give it an 8?
Yeah, I can hear you. I would say I would give it an 8. Reason being, it shows you sort of it shows you in real life what you have to go through. You know, it's not a movie for just entertainment. You can relate it, especially if you are somebody who's looking to create something or to start something. You are bound to go through the same somehow, some way. You know, so it's really practical, and it teaches you. You know, it teaches you that what to look out for. You know, what deals to get into, what deals not to get into. Sort of. So it's a really good lesson.
That's true. That's true. So what didn't you like about it?
What I didn't like, I think, is, well, you know, I'm a typical guy who likes the good guy, the good character, the steering in the movie, and the bad, the villain. So what I didn't like is just how the twins sort of, in the end, what they got. As much as it is good money, maybe back then,
It was not
but
fair.
looking at how much Facebook is worth now,
Yeah.
I'm sure their hearts are bleeding. You know?
Yeah. To just to add on, I think they won some Olympic medal, ne? In real life.
I think they got like a bronze or something like that. Yeah, but they went to the Olympics. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And you, Rob?
Well, as you know, it's one of my favorite movies. It's one of my top 5 movies of all time. So I'm giving it a 9.9. It is pacing brilliant.
Right.
Visually, there's not a boring scene in sight.
Yeah.
You have to press pause on every single scene. It's one of my things about. I always forget the director's name, but the guy who did Pirates of the Caribbean movies, especially the third one. If you press pause in that movie, there's no boring shot, like in terms of visually. And David Fincher does exactly that in this movie. The deposition scenes where you see them positioned, like when he's looking out the window like that, and he turns back to the guy, and he's like, "No, you don't have my interest." You know what I mean? That whole scene is beautiful. Combined with the fast-paced talking about normal Aaron Sorkin thing, where it's not random, it's focused talking. You see things coming back and forth. Even though the movie is all talking, very little is actually told. It's all shown. Like, for example, when you see that Mark Zuckerberg is a bit of a selfish prick, bad guy in the opening scene, you hear him talking, and you hear him kind of talking past her, and then she has to struggle to catch up. So you know he's very clever, but he's also indifferent to her. You just see that. You don't just get to hear it. No one tells you it. You see it yourself. By the time she blows him off, you're exhausted listening to him too. Do you know what I mean? That is brilliant writing. The story of the femme fatale, I don't know, what's it, Samson's wife or whatever?
Delilah.
Yeah, Delilah, the what can you say? The woman that sneaks into a relationship, that's Justin Timberlake, Sean Parker's character.
Right.
You know what I mean? The seductress. So you kind of see the flow of that storyline, where it turns out he's actually not deep. He's actually a very shallow person. The conclusion there, you have one friend, the timing of it, it all comes together so well. And of course, because David Fincher is such a perfectionist, it's all acted to perfection.
Right.
So yeah, 9.9.
Okay. I think I would also give it about the same rating that you did. for me, I've watched, like I said, I used to watch this movie every month. And the reason I used to do that is I'm a creative. I could relate to some moments of Mark Zuckerberg's creative process. You know, I could relate to Eduardo's hustle, trying to find something. And for me, the dialogue, like you said, Aaron Sorkin is one of the best film writers of all time. Even Shonda Rhimes looks up to this man. Right? And even the music, you know what I like about the music in this movie is it's not too loud. There's no song that was trending at that time that's in this movie.
Yes.
The music is like doom, doom, doom.
Yeah.
Doom, doom, doom. That's it.
No Imagine Dragons, yeah.
No, nothing. No, nothing. That's why I like about it. It's like, in as much as the music is important, it's so subtle.
Yeah.
But it still adds to the tone of the film.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I love it. Justin Timberlake's on Parker for me should have got like an Oscar nomination or something.
Absolutely.
Because he was so much older than these guys, but felt like he was still part of that age group. And fun fact, Justin made sure to shave and had his hairstyle kind of looking like those NSYNC days, so that he can look like he's as young as these other guys, you know. And and even though we don't really like looking at Justin Timberlake as an actor, but my goodness, that role he played it so, like, whenever I see Sean Parker, I don't see Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
I see Sean.
Yeah.
I see Sean. I don't see Justin Timberlake at all.
Yeah.
And to prove that an actor needs the right director.
Yes.
If you see Justin Timberlake's other movies, his performances are not as strong as the performance in that movie, in the Social Network, and that alone should tell you how brilliant of a director David Fincher is.
100%, man.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that's all I have to say. Sam, do you have anything to say, add, ask, or whatever? Because we're about to shut it down. We've been talking for 1 hour and 31 minutes. It's like we did DVD commentary of the movie without watching it.
Running of memory, yeah.
Yeah.
And it looked young. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a delay again.
Man. It's not normally like this, ne?
No, it's not. I think his network is really giving him issues. But maybe next time we should do a face-to-face interaction. Maybe
of course.
Yeah.
I'll bring you guys over one day.
Yeah.
Right in my house. I just need a camera and you can just get it going.
Yeah. Yeah. Sam?
It's actually hilarious. It's so funny.
I think it's gonna get it now, probably. Do you have any parting shots?
Sure. All right, here we go. No, okay. Again, guys, if I would say one thing, watch more. Everyone should watch more David Fincher, definitely. The Girl's Dragon Tattoo is, of course, brilliant. Molly's Game is not directed by him, but that's an Aaron Sorkin script. I don't know if you guys have seen that one with Idris Elba. That's based on another true story. I believe Steve Jobs is also not the Aston Kutcher one, but that one was directed by Danny Boyle. Also recommended to the high earth.
Aaron wrote that one as well, yeah.
3 moments in time is the whole movie. How crazy is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Watch this guy's stuff and watch him challenge himself as a writer and then challenge yourself as a writer. Besides that, buy my books. Yeah, that's all me, man. Cool.
No, thanks. You know, just fun fact, that Steve Jobs movie, no? The first time I watched it, I was working. It was during COVID. I was working. I didn't watch much of it. I was just listening to the story. The whole movie, I was listening, but it felt like I watched it. That's how great it was. The second time I saw the visuals. So meaning the entire movie, all I heard was Aaron's writing. In my mind, I gave that movie a 10 out of 10 without seeing the visuals. Then, the second time I saw it, I saw David Boyle's visual stuff. And I still loved it because now I was seeing the performances and stuff.
Yes.
But that in its own shows you how great of a writer Aaron Sorkin is.
Absolutely.
So all the movies that he has recommended, please watch them. There's also a movie that I would recommend that people watch. Sam and I have spoken about it on this podcast, which is A Few Good Men. It was also written by Aaron Sorkin. Brilliant movie, one of the best movies ever made.
Absolutely.
From my side, I would like to say I will leave a link on the description below of a video essay that is done on YouTube about how Aaron writes movies or writes scenes. What you said earlier on about how the girlfriend was catching up to Mark's conversations, because they were not really saying the same thing in the beginning of the scene. They were talking about different things, but at the end of the day, they still reached the same conclusion, even though they were talking about different things.
Yes.
I'm also going to leave a link about how David Fincher directs movies, how he takes a lot of scenes and how he's meticulous about certain things and all of that. But yeah, this is once again entertainment on set with me and Sam and with our special guest Rob. We'll probably have you more on other episodes. But Sam, I don't know, man, if you can still hear us, if you have caught up on anything, but I really want you to say something, some parting shots before I close, man. Ish. No, I don't think he can hear us.
Yeah. There was something.
There was something, yeah.
Something.
Do you want to say anything, bro?
The number you have dialed is not available at present. We need to turn this into a clip because this is hilarious. We need to make this where we all just stood there watching.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for having us. Thank you for being on our show, man.
Pleasure, man. Sweet.
Okay, no, Rob, thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much. We'll see you on the next episode. And yeah, it's actually 11 o'clock right now. We recorded this very late, but yeah, thanks to everybody. And we'll definitely see you on the next episode. Cheers, guys.
Shout out.
Sure.
Sharp.
Sharp, Sam.